Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm so happy to have Ifunanya Nweke as my guest today. A graduate of the inaugural Master of Nonprofit Leadership and Management program at the USC Price School of Public Policy, Ifunanya possesses extensive knowledge and savvy on the nonprofit sector, which pairs well with her background as a musician, a vocal and piano coach for children with autism, and an ABA-trained behavior interventionist. The Jazz Hands for Autism story begins with Ruben, an autistic young man in a mainstream classroom. When it came to music, Ruben was a natural leader. When Ms. Nweke witnessed how Ruben, a 15-year-old performer, commanded the atmosphere in his music class, she became aware of the magic that occurs when individuals with autism are given an avenue to flourish in their strengths. This was enough motivation to launch Jazz Hands for Autism, and 2 months later, the first installment of the Jazz Hands concert series took place. Welcome, Ifunanya, and thank you so much for joining me today to discuss the Jazz Hands for Autism program and the wonderful services that it offers.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm very, very excited to be speaking with you today, and I look forward to, just chatting more and telling you some more things about what we're doing and what we're hoping to do in the future. So thank you so much for the opportunity.
Absolutely. Well, let's begin. Please describe the correlation between the arts and autism and how the two combine, so to speak, to create a therapeutic tool that you use in Jazz Hands.
Well, I think that the arts in general is, we know it's like one of the biggest forms of expression, whether it's, visual arts, performing arts, so any other kind of art form. Arts are a way that people can express themselves in ways that maybe just through talking, they wouldn't be able to do that. And so I think that just for anybody, the arts is a powerful way for them to, communicate who they are, what they're passionate about, what's on their heart, what's on their spirit. And so I think that is that's no different for a person who has a disability or who has autism. Even research has shown that, many people with autism respond very, very emphatically to music. Music has been a way that many people have learned how to talk, have learned how to communicate. In the case of Ruben, music is a way that he's able to communicate his innermost feelings and be able to interact with other people on a level playing field. They say that music is a universal language, and I think that that's definitely something that it does for people who may not be verbal. Music is a way for them to express themselves. For people who may have challenges with other parts of their body, music may be a way, or arts may be a way for them to express these things that maybe they're not able to through other mediums. So I think the arts are very, very powerful for people with disabilities, and especially for people with autism. I think
I agree.
Expression. I think expression in general is just really, really important in creating a place where people, with no matter what their disability or what their abilities are, can have a place to express themselves. I think that's very important.
Well, tell me, is it generally rather difficult to access arts resources for the special needs community? Is this something that is hard for people to find and locate and get into, even if they have that need and that desire in terms of wanting to express themselves that way?
I think up until recently, the arts may not have been thought of, for people with disabilities, because I think many people with disabilities, there's so much focus on, kind of different skills. So life skills, social skills that, art may have been maybe like in the back burner. I think it's becoming increasingly more and more, awareness for arts as it relates to people with, disabilities is becoming more and more prevalent. And so I think that it's becoming a little bit easier to access resources like, arts-based resources, but they're still very few and far between. I only know of a handful of organizations in the Los Angeles area that, cater to people with disabilities and the arts. There's Able Arts Work, there's Exceptional Minds, there's Jazz Hands, there's Miracle Project, and there's Spectrum Labs. And there, I can't think of too many other ones, in the Los Angeles area that really cater to the arts and people with disabilities. And that is really interesting because Los Angeles has the highest concentration of nonprofit organizations, I think, in the United States. And so for there to be so few, even in a place where organizations are so concentrated, is very, very interesting.
That's a good point. That's a very good point. And I think the need for more organizations that do what you do and that do focus on the arts and expression through the arts is definitely something that is very much needed. So what can parents and caretakers of those with special needs do to nurture these abilities in their child or in another loved one who is a person with special needs, keeping in mind that these kinds of resources are not so easy to find?
So, I mean, I would always say that the first step is to be open to the fact that your son or daughter or your client or your loved one has, interests and passions and dreams and aspirations beyond just them, learning how to tie their shoelace or, developing these, independent living skills or, just like the living skills or the skills that are taught most often by OTs and PTs and things like that. I think there's a whole world that I think, is just waiting to be explored in your loved one that has a disability. And I think just being curious about them in that way will be helpful because that curiosity can lead to let's see how you take to a drum or let's see how you react to, a microphone, and just presenting them with different things that will allow them to explore, these different aspects of themselves. And then I think from there, you'll be able to see oh, wow, I never knew you could play piano. And then from there, oh, wow, you're actually amazing at piano. And then, and then it just kind of moves forward from there. So I think the first step is just being curious about the abilities and the passions and the whole entire personal world that exists within a person with disabilities is really the most important first step. And then also just communicating with the regional center if you're a part of the regional center, communicating with the regional centers to see what exists out there, attending resource fairs because, the way that many people have found out about us, it has been through resource fairs. I also do a lot of outreach to different organizations, SLS organizations, just existing organizations that work with people with disabilities so that they know this exists, and even if their client is not necessarily interested in music, at least they know, oh, wow, if this exists, I wonder what else is out there. And so just being curious. And so step one is being curious. Step two is, going to different resource fairs, communicating with your regional center, and just also being curious about what is out there. Google search will present you with a lot of different things that you may not have known. Yeah, and just the power of connection. So if you know one person that does one thing, ask them like, hey, my son or my daughter or my client or my loved one is interested in X, Y, and Z. Do you know of anything that exists? And you never know, they may present you with something that you've never heard of before that may be perfect for your loved one.
Mm-hmm. Well, what sort of funding is there? I mean, we're talking about regional center and going to resource fairs and so forth to discover these different resources, whatever there might be out there. But what sort of funding is there available to support attending these programs? Obviously, if the client, if the child, is a member of the regional center, that's one way to go. But how can a parent advocate with the regional center or another state-funded resource? And if the program that they want to attend, let's say, isn't vendored through the regional center or the state funding is not available for that particular program, what other avenues are there that a parent or a caretaker can pursue? Are there scholarships available, anything like that?
So at Jazz Hands, we are vendors through the regional center. We're a vendor with West Side Regional Center, Lanterman, North LA, and Harbor. And so our services are available through the regional center. We are vendored as a music-based vocational program because that's what we are. We provide individualized social, professional, and musical training to help individuals on the spectrum, of the autism spectrum, be able to develop their skills and be able to use those skills towards a career in music. And so we're vendors through the regional center. So if there's a program that is already vended to the regional center, just being like requesting services from that organization would be a good step. If they are not vended to the regional center, there are other ways to receive funding for these programs. Some programs have scholarships. At Jazz Hands, we do offer a partial scholarship for individuals who may not be with the regional center, may be on the spectrum, and are paying out of pocket, for instance. So we do offer scholarships. And so, really inquiring from the organization or the program to see what opportunities there are within the organization. Also, self-determination is around the corner. So I think that's going to open up a lot more opportunities for individuals who have disabilities to be able to, kind of advocate for themselves and what they actually want, and not be limited by, the offerings that, that they see, from the regional center or what have you. So I think once self-determination really kicks in, I think that'd be a really, really great way for people to be able to, access resources that can help them lead the most meaningful life that they would like. And then also, visiting a regional center and seeing that there's different ways to be able to advocate for that. There's different dollars that you're able to assign to different things. I'm not sure the exact way those things work, but I know I've heard of people attending programs that are not vended by the regional center, and because I don't know how exactly they do it, but they're able to then receive funding towards that program. So just having a sit down with your regional center service coordinator and say, okay, what are my options, because my son or my daughter or my client is really is interested in this, and I think it's going to be helpful in their lives, because the whole point of the regional center is to provide resources that help people with developmental disabilities live the most meaningful life. And so it's kind of in their mission to provide what works best for the client. And so just really advocating for the client or your loved one, and just kind of being very adamant about it, and just making sure that you get what you want.
Yeah, and certainly self-determination will help once it fully kicks in, although that's going to take a while. It's still in its seminal stages, at least in California. What about going through the school system and requesting art service that way?
So that potentially could work. So Jazz Hands is also happens to be a vendor of we have a client that was interested in our program, and they're still school age, and so their school was able to bring Jazz Hands on as a vendor for that student to be able to learn different musical skills towards them being a musician in the future. And so there's also that opportunity as well. So, and the way that was able to work out was the parent did advocate on behalf of his son, and then that process began that way. And so, yeah, just really, I think really the biggest thing is, if you don't ask, you won't know. So it doesn't hurt to ask. Say, hey, my son or my daughter or my client, is interested in this, and has aspirations to make this into a career. How can we get them those resources right now? And what opportunities exist within the school system or the regional center that will allow them to be able to do that? And so, you'll be surprised with the kind of information you find out just by asking.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. Would you like to describe some of the elements of your program in a bit more detail, or perhaps share with me one of your favorite success stories in terms of one of the young people that have gone through your program?
Yes, I mean, I can actually do both. So, like I mentioned earlier, Jazz Hands for Autism, we are a music-based vocational program and integrated employment program. So we provide individualized, and I want to emphasize the individualized part, individualized social, professional, and musical training, and then also job scouting and internship scouting. So every individual who comes to us, every aspiring musician that comes to us, they're coming to us with a unique set of skills, a unique set of, goals, interests, and strengths. And so we, based on who they come to us as and what their goals are, we help them kind of, learn the skills that they need to get there. So, for example, a person can come to us and they say, I really want to, work at a studio. And they are just, so we help them kind of develop the social skills. We help them develop the professional skills, and then also help them develop, the skills to work on that software. So, for example, at Jazz Hands, we teach Pro Tools, we teach FL Studio, we teach vocals, we teach drums, we teach guitar. We also have career counseling. We have, social skills training. We have, and within the career counseling, there's also some life skills that are kind of intertwined in that, because you can't. It's going to be challenging for you to go into a career if some of these life skills have not been, if you haven't developed those skills. So, just different things. So it's a wraparound kind of person-centered approach that we're using to help them develop the skills that they need to be able to go out there and be successful in whatever position that they want to be in. So we work with people who are interested in teaching music or, composing music, performing music, or also working behind the scenes, on the music software to help other people develop their music. So it really runs the gamut. And we do all that through our educational studio in Culver City. And so, and that educational studio also doubles as a recording studio. So we've had students who have recorded their EPs at the Jazz Hands studio. And then we have engineers that help them engineer that, things like that. So really it's a place for a person with autism who has a keen interest and desire to pursue music. They come to us and we help them develop the skills that they need. And then we help them find the opportunities that they can use to put those skills into practice. And so in regards to success stories, I think everyone's a success story, but I'll share about one of our students who he just recently kind of rounded out an 18-month residency at a retirement home. So he performed every month for the residents of a retirement home. He would put together his set list. He would put together, he would ask for requests from the audience. What do you guys want to hear next month? He would make sure that, who has a birthday next month. And so it was an opportunity for him to not just have a job where he's getting paid, but also be able to interact and give back and share his talent with people who are waiting to receive what he was given. And so that's a really, really big part of Jazz Hands is not only are we helping you learn these skills, a big part of it is being able to take those skills and share that with other people and know that you have something of value to give to somebody else. And your talent is something of value. And so that's a big part of what we do at Jazz Hands is helping our musicians develop the confidence to know that their talent and their interests and their passions are something of value that they can share with their communities, share with their families, share with their friends, share with the world. And that talent and that interest can be very, very well received and can actually be something that changes somebody's life. And so that's what we do at Jazz Hands. And that, that's just one example of an individual that has, is part of our program that is not just working, but it's also in a position where he feels like he's sharing something of value with other people and he feels like a leader and, in his talent.
Oh, that's absolutely terrific. Really, that sounds fantastic.
Thank you.
But tell me, are these services that you're describing, are they only available in the California area where you're based, or specifically you say your studio is in Culver City? What if somebody is in another area, in either Northern California or even in another state? How would they be able to access these sorts of services and resources if they're interested?
So right now we are based with the greater Los Angeles area. So we have students, even though we're based in Culver City, our students come, as far south as Harbor City and as far north as, Glendale or Burbank. And so our students, they are all over the LA metro area. However, we do have a lot of plans to expand. So we realize that what we're offering is really unique and that people from different places want it. So people from Texas have reached out to us, people from, Florida. And so we're looking for ways to, fully establish ourselves here in Los Angeles. And then we have plans to expand in California and also expand nationally. But until then, we are trying to find ways that people who may not be in this, the greater Los Angeles area can be able to access our services, whether it's, online or things like that. So we're actually working on ways to be able to reach people before we're able to, kind of be physically in their location. And so that is in the works. It's something that we have considered and that we are working towards right now. So people can just keep an eye out on our website and sign up for our newsletter so that they're able to stay up to date with all the progress that we're making with expanding the reach and the scope of what we're trying to do and help people be able to access what we're doing from different places that are not in the LA metro area.
Okay, good. Well, that's great to know that you're able to reach out to people into other areas and make that available for them, if not now, hopefully sometime in the very near future.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you would like to add in closing that we haven't gone over yet? And also, what do you think is the most important takeaway for our listeners to remember from our conversation?
I think that depending on who you are that's listening, if you're a parent, give your son or daughter a chance to show you to show you their inner worlds, their passions and their talents and their interests. If you're a person who is like a direct support staff, who's SLS staff or ILS staff, really, really explore what and just pay attention to what your client is interested in. And that is a way that you can help them, kind of develop a whole new, or not develop, but, open up a door to a whole new way that they can express themselves that can actually help them live a more meaningful life. If you're a person with a disability that's listening, just know that you have something of value to give. And it's just, discovering what tools are necessary for you to be able to express it in the best way. And so I think just depending on whoever's listening, just know that there's value and there's value to be there's value within and there's value to be given. And so just be confident and know that that's something that, with time you'll be able to either help your client or your son or your daughter do, or if you're a person with a disability, that you'll be able to do in time. And so I think that's one of the biggest things I just really want people to really understand and to know and to take away from this. In regards to anything else that I haven't talked about, I feel like I went into pretty deep details, but I do want to let people know that we are on Instagram, we are on Facebook, we have our website. So do feel free to visit us, on our website, which is www.jazzhandsforautism.org. That's JAZZHANDSFORAUTISM.org. We're also on Instagram, Jazz Hands for Autism, similar to the website. We're also on Facebook, Jazz Hands for Autism. So please do feel free to, visit our website, visit our social media, and sign up for our newsletter, because we do share a lot of our updates and our upcoming events and our upcoming, projects and initiatives on our newsletter. So do sign up for the newsletter so that you can always stay up to date with that. And, just stay fabulous.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you so much, Ifunanya,
Thank you
for your time and for the very helpful information that you've shared.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. One more thing I do want to advocate for.
Yeah, please go ahead.
If your son or daughter or your client is a school aged, is of school age, do make sure that their IEP reflects something that or advocate for their IEP to have something that has to do with, expression, whether it's arts or whether it's a different medium. Expression is really, really important and can actually assist with all the other skills that they're looking to develop. So expression is very, very important. So it's important that their IEP, features something that helps them express themselves better.
Very good point. So make sure in that annual meeting or transition plan or whatever it is that you're developing for your young person, make sure that is very specifically delineated and stated in their IEP. Very good point.
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you again, Ifunanya.
Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you, and have a wonderful rest of your day.
And I also want to thank our listeners for spending a part of their day with us. I'm Gilda Evans, reminding you to take care of yourself and that special person in your life.